Hi everybody, Martyn at Flicking Feathers again today, and I'm tying this fly. It's Peter Moss's Gusto. Absolutely deadly fly. He designed it for fishing billabongs, I believe, in northern Australia, but it works well for a range of species all over the world. I've tied them for people and they've used them for tarpon in Mexico. I use them for black bass here, I use them for sea bass. They're a good fly. As always, I'll stick a materials list in the description for you. So, we'll get started. I've got my hook and my vise. It's a 1/0 SL12. Tie them bigger or smaller to suit yourself. And I'm running on some, this is just 6/0 uni and fire orange. I'm tying a different colour fly from the one that was in the vise. You can tie these all manner of colours. I've got some olive ones in my desk here as well. And the green and white, black and red, like the, you know, just any sort of the standard colours work well. So I'm getting a large fluorescent yellow eye. You can use whatever eye you like. You can use beadchain, you can use dumbbells, you can use mono. Entirely up to you to suit the weight that you want the fly to be. So I'm getting them tied in nice and secure, and I've left a good space at the front so I can fit my weed guard later. They look okay. And back down to the bend. I'm going for a sort of tequila sunrise or something colour with this one. So I'm going to start with some yellow marabou for the tail. Now I'm using woolly bugger marabou. You can use a blood quill, but the woolly bugger is much better. It's far more foul resistant. So I'm going through, just get a good plume. 2 good plumes. They're about the same. I like to tie them so they curve away. You can tie them so they curve in as well, but if you can use that curve to sort of accentuate the movement, so you can see they're slightly curving away, but it's not that dramatic on the marabou. Length, well, I like, say, about a hook and a half or so, something like that. And I'll set them on top, take a few wraps, and I'm going forward there so that it's not just on a spot and I can kind of look at it and see how it is. What we'll do actually, we'll just use the existing fly, that's fine, size wise. I'll come in, use my heavy scissors, if I can see them. Cut through that thick stem. So there is a wee bit of stem in the woolly bugger, and that really helps make it foul resistant. I'm just getting this all tied in. I'm going to come back and I'm going to lift the marabou and take a few wraps below, just to sort of encourage it up. And then I'm going to tidy up. Flash, I'm using crystal flash, and my feeling with these is put plenty of flash in. You can always cut it off if you feel it's too much when you're fishing. So I'm going to have this 5 or 6 strands on either side. Catch it in, don't tangle in the eye. Fold it over and then just let it sort of spread along the sides of the marabou. Then we'll come in and trim it just slightly longer. You can even spread it a bit more than that so that it's I want to let it separate. There we go. Now, the middle of this fly, it's a bit sort of, I suppose, whistlery, and it's the thing that actually, the important thing that I feel really makes this fly work and swim, and makes it so effective, is there's a really dense ball of cactus chenille. You can use Estaz, Pearly, Ice Chenille, whatever. I'm using this, it's Dave Downey's stuff, it's the 16mm. Put a wee bit more cement on there, just so that can again soak into the core. And let each turn, sweep it back and get the turns right in front of the other. Right, don't be shy, like get plenty in. I'm going to cover about half to 2/3 of the space between the tail tie-in and the bead chain. Once you get it secure, I don't know if that was the hook point or just a weak point in the chenille, but anyway, once you get it tied in, cut it away, in, it's going forward, draw it back, tie back over it, tidy all that up. Right, so basically what you get here is this dense lump, right? This causes a lot of turbulence and it pushes water, and this really makes this tail move and swim. The next thing is some sort of transition material, which is Palmer chenille or polar chenille or polar reflector frash. It's up to you. I've got this UV orange, so I'll just catch that in and I'll go right back so that I'm kind of tying on the slope that's the front of the where I've tied in the chenille ball, and then I'm just going to get this in several turns, and I'm not really creeping forward that much. I'm trying to keep the turns more or less stacked. I mean, if they go forward a wee bit, it's fine. You can sort of draw them back. It just gives you a bit of flash and collar. I mean, you can see that it even comes back into the tail. And then trim. Now, sometimes that gets a bit tangled up. I like to just come in with the dog brush and free these fibres and get them loose before I wrap the thread back. And then the last thing is the collar. I'm using Schlappen. I'm using that sort of deep red, and I'm going to pick one that's quite like the marabou, comes quite high up the feather, up the workable usable stem, like this. Right, the marabou like stuff comes away up where the feather still got to be flexible, so I get as much of that in as possible. Two or three turns down, fold the tip back, just tidy all that up, nip away the tip there, and then just as you usually would, just wind this in front. just fill that up in the back, and you can see here now I'm getting plenty of that fluff. I'm going to get another turn, half a turn, before I get to the point where the feather fibre is, or the feather stem, sorry, is stiff. Get that tied off. Right, cut it. It's a wee bit too thick and strong there, but that's fine. And I like this sort of transitional into the dark red. You could put a purple hackle on as well and it would look really good, and it would certainly catch fish. And I'm just going to come through the eyes again. In part to lock them in a bit better, and it's a good way to tidy this up. And give me a wee bit more thread and a bit more diameter for when I go to put the weed guard on. And a whip finish. I'm going to show you a slightly different style of weed guard than I would normally use, or that I normally use. This is, again, it's one of Peter's ideas, I believe. It's in his book, A Few Good Flies and How to Fish Them. So, first of all, we'll get some head cement in here, just to seal the head. Don't use UV resin for this, because you don't want the next stage to bond to the... You don't want the UV resin that you use to fit the weed guard to bond to the cement and the thread wraps. So you need some plastic coated wire, ideally 7 strand, but if you've got a heavy enough 49 strand, that will do. This is 50 pound Savage Gear carbon coat, or whatever it's called. Cut myself a length. I've got 3 inches, say. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to go for like the double sprig, and I'm just going to pinch it with the pliers, just to sort of tighten that wee loop, make it sit. And that head cement's dry because I thin it dries quick. But wee bit of super glue there. And the super glue is just really holding, I'm going to hold this in place. Get that in against the eyes. You can even put it slightly in front, but I like it kind of in there when I do this. And then I'm going to get some flexible resin. Solar res is fine, whatever you prefer. Got a blob of it on top and in between the eye. I'll just sort of encourage that around. Oops. Then I'll put it tight, set it. And the beauty of this is that you can actually come in after the fact and peel it off. If your weed guard gets damaged, you can remove it. Just getting the underside. And then you can replace the weed guard when you're on the water. You know, you can have a wee bottle, a small bottle of the resin with you when you're fishing, and you can take the torch or not, because the sunlight would cure it. I always finish my resin in the salon lamp for 20 minutes just to make sure everything's fully cured and there's no chance of it rehydrating. But I'll just finish the reed guard. I'm just going to come in, cut it to length. And then it'll come in at, I usually do this off the vise, but so you can see it, I grip and I'll put a kink in. And then at the same level. And you don't need, you just need to mark where the kink's to be really, and then you can really force the bend in by pinching it further around, and that will give you that nice weed guard. And as I say, if it gets damaged, it's very easy to replace. You can just peel that off and then set a new one in using the UV resin. So I hope that was useful. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you tie some of these up wherever you're in the world and catch some fish on them.